Today's show is sponsored by the Electric Vehicle Association. Join up to support the electrification of transport today. And by Energy Sage. Time's running out in the US to get the benefit of federal tax incentives, so plan your energy independence today. And by you. Stick around to find out how you can help us remain 100% independent by joining us on Patreon this autumn. Welcome back to another episode of TEN, Transport Evolves News. Thanks for joining me. As you can see, despite the very explicit, often violent threats over our returning to the US after being in Munich for IAA this week, I am, as you can see, back in the studio. So for those saying I would be arrested and sent somewhere else, sorry. Quite a lot of today's show focuses on news from IAA in Munich this week, and that is where we start with the official unveiling by Chinese battery specialist CATL of its newest lithium iron phosphate or LFP battery, the Shenxing Pro. Designed for the European market, Shenxing Pro builds on the Shenxing 2 battery and introduces third-generation no-propagation technology. CATL says it lets an electric vehicle continue safely for up to 1 hour without smoke or fire after a single-cell fault, failure or thermal runaway. It will be offered in 2 versions, one for durability with a 1 million kilometre warranty and one for performance, supporting charge rates of up to 12C, which adds around 0.8 kilometres, half a mile of range per second. As a full disclaimer, we were invited to IAA as guests of CATL to cover its announcement under an agreement that our transportation, meals and accommodation will be reimbursed by that company. However, a condition of our going was that we also retain full editorial control. Keep your eyes peeled for more coverage in the coming weeks. Also at IAA in Munich, BMW officially launched its iX3 crossover, marking a new chapter for BMW's EV lineup. The iX3 is the first vehicle built on BMW's all-new, newer class EV platform, offering up to 805 kilometres, 500 miles of range on the WLTP cycle. It is powered by an 800-volt battery pack capable of peak charging at 400 kilowatts and features major improvements in power electronics and drivetrain efficiency thanks to a fully redesigned architecture. The first iX3s will be built at BMW's new Debrecen, Hungary facility, with the iX350 xDrive as the initial variant. European deliveries begin next spring, followed by the United States and China. Unfortunately, BMW limited filming access at its stand to pre-approved media, and we were only at the show for just 1 day, so we were unable to get any closer to the iX3 this time. Volkswagen debuted its newest concept at IAA in Munich, the ID.Cross. While we weren't at the official unveiling, we did check it out on Volkswagen's stand. The fourth all-electric small concept from Volkswagen, which I think feels more mid-sized than small, previews an all-electric version due next summer. Unlike some other EVs, it has a more traditional cabin with a tall centre console and a row of physical buttons below a large touch screen, signalling a return to tactile controls. We also saw the camouflaged ID.Polo, which Volkswagen hasn't fully detailed. But Inside EVs reported this week it will have either a 38 kilowatt-hour LFP battery or 56 kilowatt-hour NMC pack, offering up to 450 kilometres or 280 miles per charge. Official specs for the ID.Polo and ID.Polo GTI are expected soon. Also at IAA, Mercedes-Benz officially unveiled its new GLC with EQ technology, the model set to replace the EQC in its C-segment lineup. This mid-size crossover has an upmarket family car vibe with plenty of interior and luggage space and, for the first time in a Mercedes-Benz EV, a real usable frunk. It is rated in Europe to tow 2.4 metric tons and features an 800-volt 94 kilowatt-hour kilowatt-hour battery pack. Mercedes-Benz claims a range of up to 700 kilometres, 435 miles in ideal conditions, and up to 303 kilometres, 188 miles of range in 10 minutes at a compatible high-powered DC fast charger. It also has the largest touchscreen dash in any Mercedes-Benz to date and a vegan-certified interior. We'll have a brief jet-lagged walk around from the show shortly, so keep your eyes peeled. Polestar was also at IAA in Munich, although we didn't get a chance to visit its stand during our one-day visit to the massive event. And that's a shame because during the event it unveiled its latest model, the Polestar 5 Performance Grand Tourer. Built on an 800-volt, 112-kilowatt-hour battery pack, the Polestar 5 is the brand's new halo model, offering up to 650 kilowatts at the wheels and more than 755 pound-feet of torque. In its most powerful guise, it sprints from 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, and Polestar claims a 10 to 80% charge can take as little as 22 minutes under ideal conditions. European customers can order now with the dual-motor version priced at just under €120,000 and the performance variant just under €143,000. 1 week after a reduction of production at its Detroit Hamtramck facility, where its full-size electric pickups, Cadillac IQ and Hummer EV models are made, GM is cutting EV production elsewhere. The latest affected site is the Spring Hill plant in Tennessee, which builds the Cadillac Lyriq and Cadillac Vistique. Sources told Reuters that production will be reduced during the first 5 months of next year, with one of 2 shifts temporarily laid off. The plant will also close for extra time in October and November. At the same time, GM is indefinitely delaying the start of a second shift at its Kansas City plant, where the new Chevrolet Bolt EV is due to be made, meaning limited production at launch. This contrasts sharply with the brand's recent promises about being all in on EVs and suggests a darker future for EVs at General Motors. A new study from Charge France, in collaboration with Boston Consulting Group, pours cold water on claims from many automakers and politicians in Europe that it needs to rethink its planned ban on internal combustion engine sales from 2035 onwards. Looking at the hurdles for Europeans switching to electric, the study concludes that EVs already meet or exceed the criteria customers often cite as trigger points for going electric. Combined with life cycle emissions and CO2 data, it shows battery electric vehicles outperform hybrids, plug-in hybrids and range-extended EVs. Battery electric vehicles alone can achieve net zero targets even for large family cars and cost far less to operate than a PHEV. It's data that backs up what many of us already suspected. Kelley Blue Book published its analysis of US EV sales for August, and as we expected, the month saw record EV adoption as customers rushed to buy before the end of EV tax credits. During August, 9.9% of all new cars sold in the US, that's 146,332 cars, were all electric, up from 9.1% in July, which was a previous market share record. While more EVs have been sold in a single month before, that took place in Q4 last year when overall car sales were higher, which meant a lower overall market share. While many brands saw record sales in August, though, Tesla's sales fell 6.7% year over year, and its market share is now 38% of all EVs sold, its lowest to date, highlighting growing competition. A highly publicised immigration raid at Hyundai's EV battery facility in Georgia, jointly operated with LG Energy Solutions, has created an international incident with potential repercussions for the entire EV industry. Last week, US authorities detained approximately 475 workers, including more than 300 South Korean nationals, during construction of the plant. The US government alleged many were present illegally, though Hyundai and LG stated the workers were legally training US staff on specialised equipment. The US did offer for some to stay temporarily to continue training, but South Korea repatriated them. As a result, Hyundai now expects delays at least 2 to 3 months from now on. Given President Trump's known disdain for EVs, many see the raid as targeted efforts to slow Hyundai's US EV plans, and the South Korean government has vociferously warned that such actions could discourage future investments in US projects. New data from the Solar Energy Industries Association and Wood Mackenzie shows that during the first half of this year, the US added nearly 18 gigawatts of new solar grid capacity. Solar and grid-tied storage accounted for 82% of all new power added from January to July, with 77% installed in states that voted for President Trump in the last election. Domestic solar cell manufacturing added 13 gigawatts in 6 months, bringing total capacity to 55 gigawatts. Yet, despite all of this progress, the report warns that President Trump's planned veto on new solar and wind would cancel 44 gigawatts of planned projects, because while coal and oil are apparently God-given renewables, are not, creating real risks for the US electrical grid as consumer demand continues to rise. But look, if you are in the US and you'd like to help the solar mix continue to soar while saving money on your bills, you should probably talk to today's video sponsor, Energy Sage. Energy Sage connects you with local verified solar installers across the US and now heat pump specialists in select markets who really know their stuff and can help guide you through the process of installing panels or getting a heat pump installed. Not a homeowner? No worries. Energy Sage can still help you green your electricity by helping you join a community solar program. We used Energy Sage for ourselves when looking for installers willing to put panels on our roof, and their verified pros were knowledgeable and even introduced us to a great credit union that allowed us to finance the project with low monthly payments. As we've been saying for months now, incentives for solar, including savings of as much as 30% through the federal tax credit program, will disappear in less than 3 months. Solar projects take time, so if you really want to lock in these savings, it's important to do it now because, well, you don't have time to dawdle. Follow the links below to sign up for Energy Sage's free, no-obligation service and get started today. And if you do choose an Energy Sage installer, we'll also receive a small referral fee, so you'll be helping us too. Help the grid get greener, save money, gain energy independence and support this show. It's a win-win-win-win. We're off to recall reminders now, and as a reminder, full details are on our website if these affect you. Jeep has recalled the Wagoner S for an incorrect crossbeam that may not adequately protect occupants in the event of a crash. 8 vehicles are affected and owners will get replacement beams installed. The Jeep Wagoner S is also involved in a second recall, this time with the Dodge Charger EV, to address an incorrectly installed spring that could lead to a loss of park function, increasing vehicle roll-away risk. 75 cars are involved in the recall. And finally, for the recalls, Vinfast has recalled 6,314 VF8 EVs to address faulty ADAS software that could lead to it activating while performing wide turns. An OTA fix is expected in October. And that's it for your recall reminders. Now off to our news shorts. As usual, you'll find links to the covered stories on our website at www.transportevolve.com. The US's EPA's move to block all Solar for All funding now threatens over $250 million in Texas solar grid projects alone, leaving solar companies there millions of dollars out of pocket. While the flying Flea FFC6 electric motorcycle isn't in production yet, Royal Enfield celebrated as the model won a Red Dot Award in the design concept category this week. Well done. The German federal government has approved legislation to allow companies to write off up to 75% off new or used EVs purchased between the end of June this year and January the 1st, 2028. Honda has officially launched its first electric Denki Keijudosa in Japan, the N1, styled on the N360. It seats 4 adults and even features vehicle-to-grid V2G capabilities. Although most assets of insolvent eVTOL startup Lilium have already been claimed, electric aircraft company Viridian is bidding to take over a former Lilium facility near Munich for battery production. We'll know soon if it succeeds. Denmark has announced it will expand its funding program for electric trucks and charging infrastructure, raising the total to 425 million Danish kroner from 75 million Danish kroner. Faced with an ageing population in Japan, Honda has announced it will commercialize its Uni-One hands-free personal mobility device, with plans to offer it to corporate customers in the near future. solid-state battery specialist Prologium announced at IAA a new module with Designed for Disassembly, paving the way for more easily serviceable solid-state battery packs. Also at IAA, Rimac Technologies unveiled a new range of battery and powertrain options, including e-axles and plans for a solid-state NMC battery. An interview from the company's booth is coming soon. Porsche used its IAA time to debut a new wireless charging technology for its vehicles, which feature an 11-kilowatt capable base. Its new Cayenne EV will offer the tech as an add-on. Malaysia's National Postal Service, POS Malaysia, has added 136 all-electric vans to its already sizable EV delivery fleet, making it the largest such fleet in the country. Ahead of IAA, XPeng announced a major cooperation with Morocco and Tunisia to bring its electric cars to North Africa, with plans to eventually expand sales across the entire continent. Austrian logistics firm Gebrüder Weiss has added 2 new e-Actros 600 electric trucks from Mercedes-Benz to its fleet and plans to operate 14 electric trucks by the end of the year. Volvo Cars have officially begun series production of their newest EV, the Volvo ES90 sedan, in China. The company plans to start deliveries in Europe shortly, but hasn't committed to US sales at this time. ExxonMobil, one of the world's most hated fossil fuel giants, has acquired Superior Graphite to enter the battery anode market. Superior Graphite produces synthetic graphite made from petroleum byproducts. I'll let you join the dots. We reported earlier this year that Genesis had removed the electrified G80 from its lineup. Now we know its replacement is delayed until at least 2029, with just gasoline and hybrid versions available in the meantime. Fans of iconic British sports cars, rejoice! UK firm Austin is back with its Austin Arrow EV. It promises a 15-kilowatt motor, sub-8 second sprint time, and all the right lines in all the right places. Austin. Despite current anti-renewable sentiment in the US, EcoWave Power has officially launched its first onshore wave power pilot at the port of Los Angeles, with the potential to generate up to 100 kilowatts of power. Lucid has confirmed it's developing a new $50,000 EV for near-future production. According to its CEO at IAA this week, the model will feature styling inspired by the recently revealed Gravity Cross concept. Autonomous taxi firm Zoox is launching its first customer-facing robotaxi service in the US, based in Las Vegas, offering rides for free via a dedicated app with further expansion to other cities planned. At IAA this week, Rivian and Volkswagen used the 4th Semiconductor Summit, also held at IAA, to confirm that they will be working together on chip sourcing to lower costs and streamline production. Ford is teasing a new electric model on social media, deleting all Instagram posts and posting a cryptic video, possibly hinting at an electric Bronco, though nothing is confirmed. Vulcan Energy has received its building permit to allow it to build a commercial lithium processing plant in Frankfurt-Horchust. When complete, it will process 24,000 tonnes a year. Alongside its international debut at IAA of the new GLC with EQ technology, Mercedes-Benz has announced it's expanding its DC fast charging network using 600 kilowatt capable DC fast chargers. XPeng has officially opened its research and development centre in Munich. Holding its launch ceremony the same week as IAA Munich, the facility is the first for XPeng in Europe. At IAA this week, Hyundai unveiled its newest concept car, the Concept 3. A sporty coupe reminiscent of the Veloster, it previews a new model for the European market. Canada has paused plans for its 2026 EV sales mandate, which would have required 20% of new passenger vehicles to be zero-emission from next year. The Canadian Prime Minister has launched a 60-day review of the regulation. Ford has officially discontinued its entry-level F-150 Lightning XLT, but it's replaced it with the F-150 Lightning STX. This new model comes as standard with a range-extended battery, improved off-road capabilities, but the same starting price. Quantumscape and PowerCo revealed a first for both brands at IAA, an all-electric Ducati fitted with solid-state battery pack. The bike debuted live, but sadly we missed it. Also at IAA, Chinese brand Aito, owned by Huawei and Ceres, officially launched its first global all-electric models, the Aito 5, Aito 7 and Aito 9. We can expect more from the future brand. Kiwi electric hydrofoil maker VAS EV has delivered its first VS9 to head to Europe. Luxury hotel Fin Lot in Northern Ireland will use it for guest tours. UK sales data shows car and van registrations fell in August, hinting at a slowdown, but EV sales surged, hitting record market highs. Electric cars hit a 26.5% market share. Ampol, in partnership with Respol, has expanded its battery-swapping pilot in Madrid, using specially converted Fiat 500e car share vehicles from Free2Move. Volkswagen charging subsidiary Eli presented its first pilot project for bidirectional charging at IAA this week. The pilot project uses an 11-kilowatt AC V2G system that uses Eli's own software. The French government has launched a new supplemental EV incentive program offering extra financial support for customers who buy an EV that's domestically made. It will launch on October 1st. BYD will begin production of the Dolphin Surf at its new Hungarian plant before year's end, while also debuting its plug-in hybrid CL6 DMI at IAA. Kempower has launched Sweden's first megawatt charging station, capable of charging MCS trucks at up to 728 kilowatts. The stations can support 2 charging sessions. BMW Group and E.On have introduced Germany's first customer-facing V2G product, letting BMW iX3 owners participate in virtual power plants and sell power back to the grid in peak demand periods. Mini, in collaboration with Deus Ex Machina, unveiled 2 carbon fibre skeg concepts at IAA, light takes on the John Cooper Works Mini E. We saw them and frankly, they give off serious Group B rally vibes. At IAA, Leapmotor unveiled its B05 in Europe, promising production soon. But with all the windows blacked out, no one got to see inside. Apparently, the company CEO didn't like the chosen interior for the show car. And finally, for the news shorts, Audi and Porsche customers in the US and Canada can now order Porsche-approved charge adapters for NACS charging, granting them access to Tesla's supercharger network. And those are your news shorts. There will be more next week. Before we get to our final 2 stories, I want to just take a moment to talk directly with you. For 15 years, Transport Evolved has been bringing you independent news about cleaner, greener, safer, smarter and more equitable transportation. 10 of those years have been here in the US, and through it all, we've stayed true to our mission, covering stories that matter, even when bigger outlets pass them by. But the truth is, we can't do it without you guys. We're not backed by corporations or big production budgets. In fact, we are a tiny team. There's just 3 full-time and 1 part-time member working hard to bring you content every week. And like so many other YouTube creators right now, we're feeling the squeeze. Costs keep rising while YouTube ad revenue keeps falling. So every single Patreon pledge makes an enormous difference to keeping this show alive. And that's why, during the months of September and October, we're holding a special pledge drive. By joining us on Patreon from as little as $1.50 a month, you'll not only keep Transport Evolved going, but you'll become part of the community that sustains independent journalism. Keep your eyes peeled in the next few weeks as we share feedback from some of the people who make this channel possible through their kind donations, like the amazing Alan Cole, who is from the Mohawk Valley region of upstate New York. Alan's been driving an EV since 2020 and recently swapped out a Model Y for an EX30 in order to not support a company whose founder has become, in Alan's words, fascist-leaning. Alan thinks our review of the Volvo EX30 was a little lukewarm, but that's okay, and we're glad you still support us despite thinking that, Alan. Thank you. And if you've been watching and thought about joining Alan and the several thousand others supporting us, now is the perfect time. Your support helps keep Transport Evolved alive and independent, so thank you for being part of this journey. And if you're already a Patreon supporter who would like to be featured, don't forget there's still time to fill out that Patreon-only questionnaire on our website, so this could be you in a future week. And now it's time for those last two stories. Solid-state battery technology is the holy grail of EVs, promising massive improvements over current NMC and LFP chemistries. And at its IAA presser this week, Mercedes-Benz revealed that a pre-production EQS fitted with solid-state lithium metal cells from US company Factorial Energy completed a long-range road trip from Stuttgart, Germany to Malmö, Sweden. The journey, totaling 1,205 kilometres, that's 749 miles, was achieved on a single charge, highlighting the advantage over the EQS's standard battery pack. Impressively, the test left the car with 137 kilometres or 85 miles of remaining range, which would have been enough to reach Helsingborg from Malmö. Solid-state technology is clearly approaching production readiness, and if this is the future of EVs, well, sign me up. And finally, the US Department of Energy has long been viewed as a trustworthy agency focused on making the world cleaner, greener and more efficient. It has spearheaded research, collaborated with international counterparts and pushed for clean energy in countless ways. Heck, even back in 2012, I was a guest of the US Department of Energy at a symposium in Washington, D.C., and that was several years before I emigrated to the US. But since President Trump's inauguration, he's made appointments of people at the department who've often lacked scientific expertise. And like all government agencies right now, we've seen a disturbing trend of willful ignorance, malicious incompetence, and blatant misinformation, making the plot of Idiocracy look like a documentary. And this week, the DoE and its Trump-appointed head publicly blamed renewable energy for rising US electricity costs, claiming, quote, "Wind and solar energy infrastructure is essentially worthless when it's dark outside and wind is not blowing," end quote. Not blaming AI, which we all know is driving costs up. And this sentiment echoes the president's infamous claim that renewable energy is the scam of the century and suggests neither the DoE head nor the President of the United States have heard of something called batteries. Seriously, no. Just no. And I've written this segment multiple times to try and be kind and not make lots of swears, and honestly, I have struggled. And if you feel like you need a good swear, that's okay, because we're about to wrap today's show. But before you get to the swearing, I just want to say a massive thank you to the Electric Vehicle Association for sponsoring today's show. The EVA has been advocating for EVs since 1967 and remains firmly committed to a cleaner, greener future for everyone. Join the EVA today to find out how to become an EV educator, meet like-minded fans, and get help to make your own transition to electric. Help that includes a low-interest loan program that allows you to finance your next step. So find out more at myeva.org. And thanks to Energy Sage. Follow the links below to plan your own energy independence future before those tax credits vanish. And thanks to you. If you can, please consider supporting us from just $1.50 a month on Patreon. Right now, there really is not a good alternative to YouTube. And no, sadly, Nebula is invite only, and we have not received an invite. That's why we're not on there. But because of the way that YouTube is treating creators en masse, Patreon has really become our only reliable form of income. So if just 400 of our 152,000-ish subscribers who have yet signed up to Patreon did so and committed to the equivalent of giving a fancy coffee a month, we'd be in a much better financial position. Plus, if you join Patreon this autumn, you'll get a special exclusive piece of digital art by the lovely Erin that features the entire TE team. We publish every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday here, and every Sunday we drop 2 videos on Transport Evolved Take 2 for more informal, behind-the-scenes content. And in closing, I have some important messages. You are valid, you are loved, and you belong. This week has been another hard one in many countries around the world for different reasons, from yet more gun violence in the US to blaming an entire community for the actions of that one individual to what feels like the world slowly ramping up, or maybe not so slowly ramping up, to another global conflict. And of course, then there's all of those horrid things being said and done in the pursuit of enriching a few at the expense of the many. Right now, division and hate aren't tolerated. They are encouraged by those in power driven by a lust for cruelty. And in these times, kindness and empathy become acts of radical resistance. Remember, empathy is not a weakness. It is a skill that we must all nurture and regularly practice to hold on to our shared humanity. And I also want to remind you that it's okay to take time off if you need to. It's okay to unplug, get outside, or bury yourself in a good book. Listen to Dungeon Crawler Carl, or listen to your favourite album, or just spend time with your favourite loved ones. It's also important to listen to your body and engage in self-care so that when you're ready, you can come back and fight for decency, community and justice for all. Do not let the you-know-whats win. Embrace your awesomeness and let your own light shine. I also want to acknowledge, and this is difficult, that in the light of credible threats sent the way of the entire Transport Evolved team, we have turned off our YouTube comments. There's been attempted doxing and worse, and YouTube is doing nothing to help us. And no, I want to be really clear. As a minority group that's being blamed for a lot in the US right now, the team here, including myself, do not feel safe or able to reach out to local law enforcement or the FBI. So for now, if you want to comment on our content, you'll need to do so in the safety of our Discord chat room or join us on Patreon. I want to be clear, nobody here is anti-free speech, but free speech doesn't mean freedom to threaten folks you disagree with unaliving them and worse. So, finally, wherever you are, whoever you are, whoever you love, be an ally, be kind, be that positive change you want to see, and please, for the sake of everyone's future, don't let hate, ignorance, or disinformation win. As always, keep evolving.